So हामी स्कुलमा हुँदाखेरि आर्ट क्लास जानुभएको थियो. Yes, so can you have a raise of hand? को आर्ट क्लास जानुभएको थियो? Great, a lot of us, almost more than half, I would say. So म पनि तपाईहरु जस्तै स्कुलमा हुँदाखेरि I went to art class, mandatory थियो, जानै पर्ने थियो. And every time I went to art class, मेरो दिमागमा एउटै मात्र thought आउँथ्यो कि मलाई ड्राइङ गर्नै आउँदैन. I just can't draw. My friends, मेरो साथीहरु चाहिँ एकदम खतरा portrait landscape, like trees and mountains and rivers. Yeah, I can see some of us smiling. तपाईहरुको साथीहरुले पनि बनाउनु हुन्थ्यो होला. My friends used to make that. अनि आफुलाई भने रुख पनि बनाउन आउँदैन थियो कि. So I was like, nah, I really can't draw. This is not for me. There are other sides of art that I really liked, just the writing and storytelling. So I pursued that. I explored that. The drawing भनेको चाहिँ I was like, nah, this is simply not for me. And this thought process continued for a very long time. At school where I went to college. And one day when I was studying in class, I was studying business. I studied business for undergrad. I began scribbling like cats. Notebook ma. Why cats? Because we had cats, we still have pet cats, so that affection and that attraction and the attachment with cats. So the idea behind drawing these cats was classma business concepts or padhairakhnu and I was like, what if two cats could have a conversation about the concept that was being discussed in class? So I'd make something like this. So this is called new stuff. So एउटा cat character le bought all these stuff, so bought like cat food and tuna and clothes from H&M, and two cats are having a conversation. The cat up there is saying, what have you been doing buying all this stuff? And the other cat says, oh, I'm just checking a theory of economics that says all expenses equals income. So there's a theory in economics that says, sabai, like a larger scale, all our expenses equals our income. So this is like just, fun thing. So ramailo garnalai class ma padda padai, I'd put this up on Facebook and साथीहरुले चाहिँ हाहा भनेर कमेन्ट गर्नुहुन्थ्यो. त्यो बेलामा हाहा रियाक्सन थिएन फेसबुकमा. So हाहा कमेन्टै गर्नु पर्थ्यो. अलिक रमाइलो गर्नलाई, even when I was drawing these, I was not like I was drawing things. I was still like, nah, I can't draw. I'm just drawing cats. This is just for fun. And this continued. I was like, no, I can't draw. And after a few years, my Instagram story हेरिरहेको थिएँ एकजना साथीको, and one of my friend posted a picture. The picture हेर्दाखेरि I knew that was not like hand-drawn art, that was digital art. So Photoshop aliali designing सिकेको थिएँ. So I knew things like digital art existed, तर आफूले try चाहिँ गरेको थिएन. So I messaged my friend and asked, Q, what is this application? And my friend tells me that it's Autodesk Sketchbook. It was Autodesk Sketchbook back then, it's just Sketchbook now. Autodesk doesn't own it anymore. And I was like, oh, Q, do you find it? कहाँ पाउँछ यो? कहाँबाट download गर्ने? And my friend tells me, यो पाउँछ Play Store मा, App Store मा जहाँ पनि पाउँछ. And the next question was, free app, oh? And my friend says, oh, free, oh, you can download it. And it's a drawing app, have fun, भनेर भन्यो. So I downloaded it. I opened my phone and then I went to App Store and I downloaded Sketchbook, the app. I opened the app for the very first time, and the first time I opened it, there were like brushes on the left side and a blank canvas. And that felt like a clean slate to start drawing again. It didn't matter that I did not know how to draw or I did not draw. It was a new start. So I picked up a tool brush. I didn't know about stylus pens or drawing pads. So, हातैले औँलाइले drawing गर्न थालेँ. I picked up a brush and यस्तो गोलो गोलो गरे, straight. That's how kids start drawing, and I was a kid again. So this is one of the first drawings that I made. So रुख बनाउन आउँदैन थियो, so I decided I should make a tree after all. So एउटा brush समात्यो and then गोलो गोलो गर्यो, green for the leaves and brown for the bark. So I began exploring new things through the app that I had just discovered. Now I was still thinking, like drawing गर्न आउँदैन, I'm not drawing, I'm just having fun, I'm just, curious about the things that are going on. So I was like, okay, Q, this looks fun, this is interesting. मलाई pencil र paper मा draw गर्न आउँदैन थियो भने पनि it's absolutely all right. I can try a new medium and I can still have fun. So one day I discovered a tool called smudge tool. Drawing digital art गर्नुहुन्छ भने you'd probably know about that. What a smudge tool does is if you add two colors, it kind of blends in together. And I was like, different colors of shades of blue हालेर अनि smudge tool so चलाइदियो भने will it look like the sky is meeting the ocean, like a horizon. And then I'll make a small little boat in between. And that is how I ended up making this. So it was an new tool भेटायो and I was like, okay, let's use this. Let's see what happens with it. After some time, I discovered other brushes. And one day, a new set of brush भेटाउँदाखेरि चाहिँ oh, यो brushले यसो गरेर, गर्यो भने maybe I can make a tree, I can make a Christmas tree. So that's how this came into being. So this was me experimenting with brushes and tools and exploring the power of a new medium. So it did not matter what I knew or what I did not know. I was just in the zone, experimenting, learning, and most importantly, having fun and exploring the funness with curiosity. I also tried Inktober. Do we know about Inktober? Yes, I see a few head nods. So Inktober is an art activity that happens in October. And October 31 days हुन्छ according to the English calendar. So हरेक दिनको लागि एउटा prompt हुन्छ कि that you can draw. And you can draw anything. You can draw digitally, you can draw traditionally or manually. So I tried Inktober for the first time somewhere around 2018. And I remember कि यो pictureको prompt चाहिँ whale थियो. अब whale त पाउन आउँदैन थियो मलाई. So I decided I'll just make the fin, the tail मात्र बनाइदिन्छु. So that's how I drew this for the prompt. Because I was more comfortable writing storyहरू लेख्थेँ, essays and articles and poems, I was like, draw मात्रै हैन, we'll also add some poems, some lines to it, we'll complement each other. So I also wrote a few lines, this is like a very short poem that I wrote about the prompt, whale. And that's how I completed the very first Inktober that I attempted. Now, over time, I was exploring, I was learning, but it was time to upgrade. अब बिस्तारै stylus pen हुन्छ अनि Wacom padsहरू हुन्छ. You can experiment and draw better with that. भनेर थाहा पाएपछि I was like, okay, let me get a Wacom pad and start drawing. So I got one, and then I began drawing. And it was a whole new experience because I do not have the tablet where you can draw like on a screen, but I just had the drawing pad and यहाँ drawing गरेर computerको screenमा चाहिँ drawing आउँथ्यो. So I was like, oh, okay, what is this hand-eye coordination? It was very interesting, but it was also very challenging. But I still continued. अब Wacom pad आइसकेपछि time to upgrade the software as well. So moved from Sketchbook to Clip Studio Paint. This is one of the first arts that I made on the Wacom pad. And cats, because I was just like researching के हुन्छ सजिलो line art बनाउनको लागि. And I saw a video, and the person in the video was saying, a cat mountain is mountain. So I was like, okay, let's make mountain. So this is one of the first arts that I drew. म कहिलेकाहीँ still sketchbook चलाउँथेँ, and I was like feeling very elaborate one day, so I decided to draw something. So this was made on Sketchbook. And can you take a guess what character is this? Dragon Ball? No, it's kind of dragon, but it's not Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, it's Haku. So there's a Japanese animated movie called Spirited Away, and Spirited Away Haku भन्ने character. So this does not look like Haku, I know, but you still found out. I'm so glad. So I was feeling like, a little fancy, like, okay, try garum na naya, let's level up a little bit in terms of drawing as well. So I decided to draw Haku, and this does not look like Haku at all. This was all happening during COVID. I was sharing some of my art with my friends, and COVID was getting worse, so there were organizations that were asking for donations and raising funds for frontline warriors, distributing food, distributing funds. And I thought, why don't I do something for that? So I was like, and that's where I decided maybe I should do a small event. Together we draw online. And I asked my friends and family members to join, and we learned, like I taught them, how to use Sketchbook. Now, this is very funny because I'm someone who says I can't draw, and I'm like teaching others how to draw, use an application. And I kept a small little tiny amount that they can donate to the organization. So we collected funds and I sent it off to the organization that who was like delivering food, frontline workers हरूको लागि. It was not a lot. It was so insignificant. एउटा ठुलो oceanमा, it was not even equivalent to a drop of water. But nonetheless, it did happen, and my friends also learned how to use Sketchbook. By now, मेरो साथीहरूलाई I enjoy drawing and I'm experimenting भनेर थाहा भएको थियो. अनि एक दिन one of my friends, रोशन घिमिरे दाई, sends me a WhatsApp message of a poster. अनि त्यो पोस्टरमा चाहिँ के थियो भने I for Illustrators भन्ने art collective को, it was an open call for female artists to apply, and it was supposed to be an authorial illustration workshop where we draw something of our own, and maybe it can be like a comic or maybe it can be a picture book. And I looked at the post and I was like, really? Should I really apply? I can't draw, right? But I was like, okay, let's give it a try. So let's just pull a few pictures together. So यताउताबाट drawings collect गरे from the past, and then I put together a portfolio and I sent it. And guess what? I got accepted. So I was introduced to another whole world of art. हामीले drawing कसरी गर्ने भनेर भन्दा पनि I learned how to look at art, कसरी conceptsहरू frame गर्ने, how my storytelling or the stories that I wrote with words can be complemented with visuals. We had mentorship with international and national artists, so that exposure was really wonderful, getting to learn comicsहरू कसरी बनाउने भनेर. And the end product was I had to design or draw, come up with 8 to 12 page comic. So अस्तिसम्म भर्खर tree बनाइरहेको थियो, अब अहिले आएर I have to draw write an entire comic for the authorial illustration workshop. That was hard. किनभने कहिले पनि त्यत्रो स्केलमा I would just make one small Instagram size drawing, that's all. And त्यो पनि एकदम minimalistic, very very simple. अब the full-fledged comic बनाउनु पर्दाखेरि, that was really difficult, but challenge accepted. Let's see के हुन्छ भनेर हेरौँ भनेर try गरेँ. And this is what I eventually produced. So Roo and the Box is the comic that I wrote and illustrated, and these are 2 pages from the comic. My process of making this comic was really interesting because I'm a writer. So मैले के गरेँ भने सुरुमा सबै story लेखेँ, paragraph. So this happens and this happens and that happens. This character says this and that character says that. And then I decided I should illustrate that. So when I tried illustrating that, it didn't work. So I was like, maybe I should reverse the process. पहिला लेख्नु भन्दा पनि let's draw. Let's think visually, because this is a comic, so comic ho भने, let's take the comic route. So I decided to think about visuals and image. So के चाहिँ illustrate गर्ने, कुन momentलाई illustrate गर्ने, कुन panelमा के हाल्ने भनेर storyboarding गर्दाखेरि, and then finally I was able to come up with the comic, and then the writing was done later on in the second stage. So this is a story about a boy and a cat, so I don't think that's a surprise anymore. It was difficult because I was learning how to use the application first. Drawing गर्न पनि सिकिरहेको थियो, so perspective भनेको यस्तो हुन्छ, यो एंगलबाट देख्यो भने यस्तो देखिन्छ अरे घर. And I was also learning how to add colors. It was a lot of work. So यो सानो एउटा panel, you can see one panel up there. So for example, त्यो एउटा सानो panel बनाउनलाई मलाई 2 hours जति लाग्थ्यो कि कहिलेकाहीँ, and my back would just give up. But that was a very important experience because I learned patience. If I have patience, I can learn new skills, and I don't have to be good right at the start. It can be messy and it can be edited and made better later on. Eventually, we were able to publish a comic collection that has the comic of 6 female artists, and I'm one of them. We wrote our own stories and we also illustrated them, and this is like Roo and the Box, but from the comic collection. And this was something so strange, when I look back at it, I'm like, oh, I don't know how to draw, drawing, but then I was able to come up with this, and I was so surprised myself. one thing leads to another. So garda gardai, I recently had the chance to be a part of a non-fiction comic workshop, and that was a collaboration between a writer and an artist. So I was paired with a fellow artist, and my artist was Krisha Joshi, and we put together a story. And because I had already made a comic, पहिला comic मा काम गरिसकेको भएर, it was so easy to collaborate because I knew storyboarding गर्दा के गर्नुपर्छ, which moments might be better to illustrate and which might be better to just leave it as text. So that was an important learning step, even to learn how to collaborate. Sohail was talking about collaboration right at the start, so I think, yeah, I learned so much about collaboration, also making my own comic and collaborating with a fellow artist in the process. म क्याटहरू बनाउँथेँ नि त कमिकमा, like नोटबुकमा, and sometimes some of my friends, like good meaning friends and people would say के बनाइरहेको होला यो, के क्याट बनाइरहेको भनेर त्यस्तै जिस्काउँथ्यो कि, in good spirit of course, they were not pulling my leg or anything. अनि म पनि जिस्केर के भन्थेँ भने हेर है कुनै दिन मैले बनाएको क्याट किन्नु पर्ला पैसा तिरेर भनेर जिस्केर भनिदिन्थेँ कि. And very recently I started selling some of my prints as bookmarks and as postcards, so I felt like, oh, that was a full circle for a skill that I didn't think I was good at all. So these are some of the bookmarks that I recently printed, and this is like Christmas cats because Christmas is coming. And there are also other things, in case you are not a cat fan, don't worry. There are other things for those who may not like cats. One of my favorite moments from my digital art journey is this. So this is Rishi Dai and his daughter reading a page from my comic, Roo and the Box. And Rishi Dai was one of the first persons to buy the comic. And उहाँले comic किनेर उहाँको छोरीलाई देखाउनु भयो. And they were reading, and he clicked a picture, and then he sent it over. And I felt so emotional looking at this because it felt so good that somebody is reading or looking at your work, especially young children, because it's so important to, expose them to arts and culture and literature and reading and all of those mediums. So this is one of my favorite moments that, oh wow, this is so lovely. It's not a huge thing, but it's so wonderful. When I think about it, I feel really humbled, but also encouraged and inspired at the same time. One of the best things about my digital art journey is I don't expect my art to do something extraordinary. I don't take that pressure. So it's okay, it's absolutely fine. And I hope I can keep following the curiosity and the fun element of art that I discovered. So not much. I try not to take much pressure. And digital art helped me define a new experience, old experience of drawing with new perspective or new lenses. Drawing the पहिलादेखि नै गरिरहेको थियो, तर अहिले I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Maybe I can draw. But I can't draw भन्थेँ. I'm like, yeah, maybe I can draw. I don't think I can draw amazing, but that's absolutely okay. And I've also reached a point where I'm like, oh, the drawing सिक्नु पर्छ कि क्या हो? Maybe I should pick up that pencil and the paper. अनि traditionally manually जुन स्कुलमा गर्थ्यो त्यस्तो drawing गर्नुपर्छ कि. So I'm willing to explore even that side, even though I know I'm probably not going to be good at it at all. Digital art provided me with this freshness that I didn't know I needed. मैले Autodesk Sketchbook खोलेर download गरेर when I started doodling with my fingers, I had no idea that one day, I will be drawing cats or I will draw a comic about a cat and that it will be published, that I'll get to collaborate and create other wonderful things. I was just following the line of curiosity and interesting things that was happening. When I look back, I remember this quote, तपाईहरुले सुन्नु भएको होला. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. If you think you can do something, you can. If you think you can't, maybe you can't. I think this clearly, this sums up how I feel about drawing and how I feel about art. I thought I couldn't, and I didn't. And I tried, and maybe I think now, perhaps I can. But what I think is more important is to try. So you can, you can't, that doesn't matter. Get out there, try. If there are opportunities, if there are skills, if there are interests that interest you, तपाईहरुलाई interesting लागेको केही कुरा हुँदैछ, or if there is a skill you want to learn, get out there, try it. You'll probably fail. You'll probably be really bad at the start, but you have to be bad at something before you can be good at it. And I hope you will take the chance to give your curiosity a chance. When I clicked Sketchbook, when I started drawing, I did not know that I was opening a door to a world of art that I thought was closed to me. So there could be anything at the other side. Thank you so much.